Hey everybody, Larry Bale here, Mortgage Workflow Partners. It's time to talk about more Encompass information. Today is Thursday, October 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for coming. We meet every Tuesday and Thursday. So thanks everybody for coming to today's discussion is the best practices of user groups in Encompass. Woohoo! It is user groups are probably underutilized. I actually working with a pretty large lender who is trying to figure out how to allow, try to come up with a method to allow for their third-party processors to be able to not have to have a bajillion different email addresses for the brokers that they work with in TPO. So if you are doing TPO business, hi Angie, if you are doing TPO business and you are struggling with the concept of helping your brokers use third-party processing companies, and you're using Encompass, and third-party processing companies having a really hard time because they're maintaining multiple email addresses for the multiple companies they're supporting, I can help you. I figured out a way through it. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to talk about how to use user groups in maybe ways that you're not thinking about. We're going to go through the setting. And most importantly, we're going to take questions. So Angie, you had said they're confusing at times. I'm guessing you're talking about user groups because that's what we're talking about. Any particular questions? Like, I'm really curious, first of all, for those that are on the call, thank you very much. If you go into your user groups, show of hands through the chat, I guess, do you have less than 10 user groups or more? And I would probably guess that everybody's going to say more. Yeah, so Robert's at more, and several people are typing as they're going more. Jolene says less, which is always interesting, right? You're like, well, how come Jolene can say yes? Brian says 10 exactly. Who could have thought that? And so maybe you're saying you're ready to clean out. So I'd love to talk to you more about that. If you've got a mic and you are willing to join us up on stage, I'm inviting you in as a speaker. And the reason why I was going to ask you, 22 is such a great number, Tim. The reason why I'm going to ask you about that is because when you say you're ready to clean out, remove a few, I want to talk to you about that and ask you, like, how are you planning on doing this and why you're planning on doing this?
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for jumping on.
No, we have some user groups that were created so that loan officers could, work as teams or share things, and those loan officers don't work for the organization anymore. And I just, like, every time we open user groups, I'm like, why do I have a user group that's team? None of these people work here.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's just taking up extra space. So when I say I'm wanting to work on a project to clean them up and remove a few, that's what I mean.
Yeah. And that's what I was hoping that's what you were going to say. And for those that had that, I know I've had that situation. Looks like Kevin says he set some up for vacation coverage for loan officers. I think everybody's probably had to do that sooner or later. But so maybe your case is loan officers are no longer there. I'm just curious, do you move if somebody leaves, right? If somebody's no longer active in your company, do you put them into? Do you remove them from all the user groups?
Well, now that's an interesting question because technically, yes. But if a loan officer leaves and then loan officer A and B are like, oh, we need to see that loan officer's files, the easiest way to do that is to put that loan the loan officer who's not there, view only for their files so that, you can have a context when somebody calls and says, oh, I purchased my house from the loan officer who doesn't work here anymore, but can you help me refinance it? They want to be able to go in and see that person's original file. But, I figure after a certain amount of time, like if these people have not worked, if I don't recognize their names, it's probably time to let it go.
Yeah. And so, first of all, I appreciate that insight. I'm sure everybody else does. But, far too many times. So when I go through admin training, we come to user groups and I talk a lot about the tabs and I talk a lot about resource allocations, things like that. But I thought today would be a really good conversation, get into the mechanics of what we have to do throughout our days. And it involves access to loans, obviously, and it also involves things like templates, custom print forms, and then the role list view, which I still think most folks don't really have a good handle around. So, um, for anybody watching this on a replay, please get over to mortgage.community to watch the full thing. If you're listening on podcast, that's awesome. But I'm going to be sharing screen like I'm doing right now. And so if you can't see the screen, you probably can't enjoy the whole conversation. So